Welcome to issue number 19 of Digital Display Insider. I'm your host, Teeter, and I'm excited for you to join me today on this very special issue. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a while, you've been seeing a lot of my tactics that I've been doing, and recently I talked about building your dream avatar, your dream customer, and then the Dream 100. And so this is actually a little window into me taking my own advice. As I've been looking at my dream customers and going through my transitions here in our business, one of my avatars is billboard operators, other media companies, but specifically other billboard companies. And so, what I have identified is billboard companies are in a prime position to bring mobile digital billboard trucks into their asset offerings and really grow in their markets very quickly, really much more quickly than they're used to growing. And it's really surprising to me how many billboard companies are kind of in this space, but either don't know much about mobile billboard trucks or just have a lot of false perceptions about what they are and what it takes to run them. And so I wanted to dedicate this issue specifically, talking specifically to billboard operators. And if you don't own a billboard company, you're welcome to just listen in. But specifically this week, I'm going to be talking to those of you that are billboard companies and kind of curious about these trucks. And so I want to start by just kind of telling my origin story. I got into this business 10 years ago, back in 2014. And it all started because I wanted to put up a traditional digital billboard in my hometown of Bellevue, Nebraska. And I had found a property that was on a busy 4-lane highway right close to my house. And I had been kind of, kicking the tires of the billboard industry. And I did all my research. I found that this particular location, it met all the zoning requirements for both the state and the local city. There's another digital billboard by one of the major players just about a mile away. And so I had the correct distances. It met the zoning requirements. It was on a busy intersection. And the last piece is convincing the landowner to let me put it up. Now, this piece of land was up for sale. And at first he was a little hesitant, but through several conversations, we ended up reaching a deal. And I spent a total of about 6 months putting this whole thing together. And on the day that I was supposed to go sign a long-term lease with this landowner, I got a call from him about an hour before we were supposed to meet. And he's like, "Man, I got bad news for you. My wife is just refusing to sign this lease agreement." And they own this property together, and it took both of their signatures to agree to this. And no matter how hard I tried and what I told him, she was just convinced that having a billboard on this property was going to lower their chances of selling that property. And funny enough, 10 years later, that same property is still for sale and nothing has happened with it, but that's kind of beside the point. But it was at this point that I had to decide, do I just throw in the towel and move on to something else? Do I start over from scratch? Like, what do I do? And as I was researching trying to find another property and just see what my options were, I ran across an ad for one of these mobile digital billboard trucks. And the minute I saw it, I knew exactly that's what I wanted to do. I love technology. I've got a transportation background. I've owned a car shipping company for 23 years now. And I knew exactly that combined my experience with transportation with my love for technology and my desire to help other businesses grow. And so it was just an instant fit for me. And at this time in the mobile billboard industry, it was brand new. The very first billboard trucks were built in about 2009, 2010. This was 2014. And at that time, there were only a couple dozen of these trucks in the entire country. And so we got in on the bleeding edge of this and have been helping grow this industry for 10 years now. And it's amazing to me how fast it's starting to pick up steam and how many people are just getting into this every day. And so that's really where I began with. Now, as I've been talking to other billboard owners and brokers and other people who are in the traditional sector of the space, I've been hearing a lot of the same feedback that I experienced 10 years ago. And that is that for billboard companies to grow, you need or to put up a new structure, you need a willing landowner, you need a high traffic area, and it needs to meet all the zoning requirements. And to find a property location with those three things is getting so difficult, particularly with the zoning and cities constantly increasing their blackout zones for billboards and just regulation and red tape and everything. It's getting so hard for you guys to grow. And so what I've been learning is that the main form of growth right now is through acquisition. But we all know that the multiples for billboard companies right now is really high, and it can be very, very expensive to acquire either individual assets or the entire companies. And so for the bigger companies, it's a lot easier to take that model, that mergers and acquisitions model. But for the mid-size and smaller billboard companies, it really puts them in a box of being able to grow very quickly. And so I want to offer maybe a paradigm shift here today, a solution that will help you guys grow and become more competitive in your markets. So my question is, what if I could tell you that you can drastically scale your business in your market without any government red tape, without any zoning regulations or getting permits? You know, mobile digital billboards allow you to bypass all of that. You know, these billboard trucks are regulated by the DOT, not by property zoning laws. And the DOT has virtually no regulation on these at this point. I don't foresee any major regulation coming down the pipe. There may be some in the future, but at this point, people putting commercial messages on vehicle has been around for a long time. It's very established, and there's free speech issues involved there. So it'd be very hard for any government body to come in and ban mobile billboard trucks. And so the digital aspect, I've not seen that anywhere. If there is any regulation on it, it's mobile billboards or billboards in general. And so it's just a very, very low regulated portion of the industry. The biggest thing here is it allows you to have billboards in any location in your market, even where there's blackout zones for traditional billboards. For the last couple of years, we've been operating here in Omaha, and in just one of my routes, 35 square miles, there's only 6 traditional billboards, and this is the heart of the most desirable commercial land space in Omaha. In that 35 square miles, there's only 6 traditional billboards, and only, I believe, 1 or 2 of them are digital. And so as Omaha is expanding out west, that area has kind of blacked out by city council. And so I was able to operate and offer advertisers here in Omaha that whole area where the 2 local companies are Lamar and Link. They're not going to be able to put up new structures out there. And so it's just a way that you can get into the market in ways that you historically have not been able to do. Let's see here. So the thing that mobile digital billboards can provide is, again, virtually no regulation from DOT. You can take your clients' messages anywhere in the market where you haven't traditionally been able to, and you don't need any property owner's permission to be anywhere. Other than if you want to set up and park somewhere, again, you don't really have to ask permission. If they ask you to leave, you just move on and call it a day. So it's just very, very flexible. The thing that I want to really communicate to you guys here today is you already have everything in place that you need today in order to operate these trucks. You already have a sales team in place that is experienced in selling billboard media. You already have advertising relationships in place that are buying your particular service. You have market authority. Those advertisers already know you and trust you, and you have brand recognition in your market. And you have the ability to scale up quickly because you have all this other stuff in place and the experience to do this. You can scale this so much faster than a brand new operator getting into this business. Now, I know that one of the questions I get is, okay, well, how much revenue can these make versus what they cost? Because there's a perception that these things are really expensive. When you compare the cost of a mobile digital billboard truck to putting up a traditional digital billboard, it's actually a lot cheaper to deploy a mobile digital billboard truck. You're under $250,000 for a brand new one, whereas based on the research I've been doing recently and what I did 10 years ago, by the time you pay for your land lease, you pay for the attorney's fees for all the legal stuff, you pay for the permits, you buy the digital board, you buy the pole, all the labor to put all that stuff up, you're easily over 250 grand. If you're doing a two-face or in different areas, you can easily push that over 500,000 or even more. And so with our trucks, brand new out the gate, earning revenue, you're under 250 per truck. The downside with the traditional billboards is you only have a certain amount of spots you can sell, and then once those spots are full, you're maxed out. And so with a digital billboard truck, there's all kinds of different ways that you can earn money with these. It's not just the advertising, the shared advertising model, which we've got a model that we teach. There's other ways above and beyond that you can run, because in our world, we're only running the truck about 8 hours a day versus you're running 24/7. And so after that 8-hour shift, now you can go do exclusives, you can do events, you can do movie nights. There's just all kinds of different things that you can bolt on to the main piece of your advertising. So, in our world, in a mid-sized market, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, where we're ranked, 74th or 75th, somewhere in there. We can easily push our revenue over $30,000 per month per truck. And so in the larger markets, there's other bigger opportunities, and the rates are just higher. And so you can push that revenue up quite a bit from there in the larger markets. The last thing I want to deal with here is a couple misconceptions that I've heard. And one of the big ones is I don't want to cannibalize my existing inventory. And I'll just go back to what I said earlier. You can put these trucks out there where you currently don't have any billboard structures at all. And so you're just opening up new areas that your customers can buy from. So you're not cannibalizing any existing structures you have. You're actually working with those. Now down the road, if you get to the point to where all those are full, you need more trucks. Now you can start making the decision of, would a digital billboard truck earn more revenue in those areas where maybe you have static structures that are only maybe doing $1,000 or $2,000 a month. And so at that point, it's just making strategic decisions. But for the most part, this should work alongside your existing inventory. The other thing that I hear a lot of is operators saying they don't want to deal with hiring drivers and the maintenance, and they just don't know about any of it. So the unknown can be kind of scary, or you just don't want to deal with the unknown. And what I would say to that is, we've gone through all the trial and error of what types of drivers to hire, how much to pay them, where to get the drivers from. And we've actually found a really good way to hire high quality drivers that not only can do well driving the routes and operating the truck, but actually training them to do the maintenance of the screens. And so you don't have to hire that out, which can be very expensive if you're hiring a local sign company to come in and do that. The technology isn't that difficult, and we can train, at least on trucks that we sell, we train all of our customers who buy a truck from Legion LED Trucks to how to operate, not only operate it, but maintain it themselves, so you don't have to hire that out. And so that's all part of what we can help you with. I'll close by saying that mobile digital billboards, it's still an emerging sector of the out-of-home industry, but it is growing so fast, and it's not going to be long before you're going to have competitors in your market, whether you plan for this or not. And so my encouragement to you would be, start buying trucks and getting into this and embrace it before you have to compete against it. The other thing is that if you already have billboards in place, especially digital, you already have everything in place. You literally just need to buy the truck and learn some strategies that we can help you with, and you're off to the races, and you can start scaling so much faster in your local market rather than going the traditional way of the permits and dealing with the city and months and months and months to get a structure up. We can literally, as quick as we can build you a truck, which is anywhere from 30 to 90 days, depending on where we're at in our schedule. The minute you have it, and while it's actually being built, you can be pre-selling it and be off to the races. So I know this one went a little long, but man, there's just so much here that I would love to talk to you more about. If this is something that you're a little just curious about and want more information, feel free to reach out to me. Go on ahead and follow this newsletter. If you haven't already subscribed, go to newsletter.digitaldisplayinsider.com and subscribe. You can see past issues, and we will see you next week.